26.
26,
Who you
okay.
got?
Hey, we're going to the red man, okay, Andy Dalton, all right? Andy Dalton's my next guy at number 26. A guy who's, of course, one of the most unforgotten, under-the-radar quarterbacks in all of football.
Yeah.
And, hey, I don't think he's as talented as Jameis Winston. But
he's played better a lot of the time.
Exactly right. He's more trustworthy. I mean, there's a reason that the Cincinnati Bengals went to the playoffs 5 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing I say about Andy Dalton is this. There's no glaring weakness to his football game.
Yeah.
I never look at it and go, ooh, he really struggles in this one area. He does everything across the board pretty damn good. Pretty good decision maker, pretty good quick release, you know, pretty strong arm.
Yeah.
You know, pretty good athlete.
I always felt he never, and it's kind of a weird thing to say, but he never got enough credit for being pretty good.
I know. He does not.
Just because a guy isn't great doesn't mean he sucks.
Yes, I agree. I know. And that's where he kind of falls, because he falls as that guy is, ooh, we think we could have a little bit better on our team at this position.
Of course.
But that's easier said than done. When you start to get in the meat and potatoes, oh, who are we going to replace him with? Who's going to come in here and actually beat him out?
Where do you think he peaked? Like at his best seasons, I think they won the AFC North 2 out of 3 years. He was over 65%.
Right.
TD to interception ratio was really good. So at his best, I want to say that was around 2015.
Yes, right.
Would he have ever cracked, let's say, 12 through 15?
Ooh. That year where he broke his thumb, right? And didn't get to play in the playoff game, which I believe was 2015, if I'm correct. I just got to, yes, right. He had 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Yeah.
That was the year I looked at him and went, Andy Dalton's turned the corner.
Yeah.
They're no longer just trying to manage the game around him and trying not to let him mess it up.
Right.
They were letting him go out and win football games.
They had to win a game against Pittsburgh late in the season to make the playoffs. It might have been that year.
It was the game where he broke his thumb.
Okay.
He did.
At some point in that game, it was a 3rd and long, critical situation in the game. He cut loose a 7 route, a post corner, and put it right between the corner and safety.
Yeah.
I thought that was a real moment for him. Like, I hope people are paying attention.
Yeah.
That wasn't just a check down on 3rd and 3.
No, that was a big
super tough throw in their most important game of the season.
Right.
And I think you're right. He might have gotten hurt in that same game.
I think it was the same game. I think it was later on in that drive.
It was around.
It was somebody. He throws a little shovel pass. The running back fumbles. Pittsburgh picks it up. He tries to make the tackle and breaks his thumb. But that was the year that I looked at Cincinnati and said, "Ooh, watch out for them too in the AFC playoffs." And of course, they ended up losing that game to the Pittsburgh Steelers that they had in hand with A.J. McCarron at quarterback.
Right.
You know, Burfict hit Antonio Brown in the head coming across the middle. But no, you're right, and I think that's where I, at least in my evaluation. Prior to that, I always looked at Andy Dalton and just said, this is a quarterback that's got a really good team around him.
Right.
And, you know, he doesn't mess the game up a whole lot, and that's why they win. Mm-hmm. But I would always come away with games prior to that point of his career and go, man, he left a lot of yards on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, A.J. Green was wide open for touchdowns down the middle, and he underthrew it or missed the throw. But starting in that season, that was the year where I felt like, ooh, he's leaving nothing on the field, and he's capitalizing on everything that's there to be had, and that's where he really improved his game. Now, talking about no glaring weakness, I think the other thing with Andy Dalton, too, is there's no glaring strength either. So that's kind of my negative about him. There's not one thing in his game where an offensive coordinator is going to look at it and go, ooh, he's special at this. I can formulate about another 10 or 20 plays in our playbook around this one little special skill set that he can bring.
So based off of that observation, how do you think Zach Taylor feels about him?
Yeah, I think Zach Taylor looks at him and is going, for my offense, I want to play action, boots, okay? You know, West Coast, get the ball out of your hand, 3-step game too. I think Andy Dalton fits all of that stuff.
Isn't he just as gifted as Jared Goff, who was just running that offense for Zach was?
Agreed, 100%. He is just as gifted as Jared Goff. I think that's a great way to put it. You know, I'll say maybe Goff has a little bit of a stronger arm, but Dalton's release is quicker. Dalton's a better athlete, I think, for my money. And I think Goff is actually, Andy Dalton's really probably a little bit more of an accurate pinpoint passer that way too. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a great comparison. I think he has a chance to stamp himself here for the next 3 or 4 years. If he has a good year, a big year, he can really kind of solidify himself, you know, for the guy going forward. But here we are, just like Winston.
The 26,
just like Mariota, it's the same. It's a prove-it year.
What held you? And I agree. Especially with a new head coach in town. What held you back from making him 18, 17, somewhere up in there? I ask myself the same question. These are the things I try to ask myself as I make the rankings. And ultimately, I think it's this point that makes me hold him back.
I respect a lot of the things he's done. Battle-tested football. Damn, has he had to play in a tough division in the AFC North and deal with Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
And they finish in the top half more often than not.
They do, exactly right.
Not recently, but in his
yes,
years,
I mean, yes, definitely. And I mean, he's got a winning record against the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, there are not a lot of quarterbacks in football. I can be able to say that right there. So, I think this is the big thing, though, with him. In those games where, we're not clearly the more talented team, and it's even, just like we saw in some of those playoff games and things like that. I don't know if he's a talented enough guy to, like some of the guys that are in the top 15 or top 18, to where they can make a handful of plays every game where they're not system-based, where it's like, this team has a good game plan. We're struggling on offense, but I can make 3 or 4 plays or throws today that are going to help change or dictate the game into our favor. And that's where I would maybe question Andy Dalton. Not to say that he's done it before, but I'm just saying big moments, playoff games, when they're playing a team that's really good on defensive side of the ball, that would be my one big question mark that kind of holds them back.
With the Browns ascending right now, would your preseason pick for the Bengals to be 4th in that division?
It would be, but it's like 4th with I want to say almost like, okay, I'm going to pick them to be 4th. But if it came in December and we were like, hey, the Bengals, they win the next 2, they're getting in the playoffs, and I go, I'm not shocked. I mean, it's Joe Mixon, it's A.J. Green, it's good tight end play.
Right.
It's Tyler Boyd. It's a phenomenal secondary. It's Geno Atkins. It's Carlos Dunlap. The team is talented. AFC North's brutal, So I look at it that way, yes. And
you know what I really like about both your first 2 picks here? 27 and 26. 27, Jameis Winston. 26, Andy Dalton. You've pointed out things that throughout their career you don't like, but I'd say you're more positive about both of them than their rankings would initially lead you to believe.
Yeah, well, you're right. You're right. And, as you start making these lists, you start to go, damn, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in football. And you start to get to 20 through 32, and you go, damn,
it's
really
guys aren't
close.
That bad.
Yeah, they're good. There's a lot of good things around them. And you can win Super Bowls with these guys if you put the right team around them. And, and that's where I would also look at Andy Dalton and go, hey, if I was going to say another negative about his career, he's had top-end talent around him his whole career, too. And, when you go into A.J. Green and Giovanni Bernard, and then you start to go, Marvin Jones was there, and Mohamed Sanu was there.
Yeah.
And, the guys he's got now, it's been a pretty good group, pretty good offensive line, except for the last year or 2, maybe.
Yeah, the last couple of years have been a struggle.
But those are the things that concern me. But you certainly can win football games with Andy Dalton, and this is a proven year for him this year. He's going to have a big year for him to cement himself as the future of this franchise.
Of the many things I'm excited about for the season, I want to see how that Zach Taylor, Andy Dalton combo works, because Andy's been in the same system with the same head coach for quite a long time.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.